It's too funny to me. MaNa is like the stoutest defender that he is terrible at PvT, and I'm like, but then you also beat some really good Terran players. It's like, what's going on here? Speaking of which, guys, we are going to be starting here on Waterfall. An interesting first map, I guess, to start things off. Is going to be our purple Protoss player. It is TeamLiquid's very own MaNa.
In the other side of the map, our yellow Terran player from the Shopify Rebellion is ByuN.
Yeah, Wordy, I'm definitely with you in the sense that I feel like MaNa undersells himself sometimes. In this case, I'm kind of with you that I feel like it won't be a massive surprise if MaNa ends up winning this. But we do have to talk about historically, like he's 1 in 10 versus ByuN. He doesn't win very often versus ByuN. Here's my case though. My MaNa anti-hype train, which is basically my convoluted way of saying that I think MaNa still has a shot in this. I actually think the format for TSL where you're playing like that one match in a day and you kind of come with a little bit of time to prepare and stuff. And I know that this is also an important match or like a tournament for MaNa as well. I actually feel like MaNa can prepare pretty well for tournaments and stuff. He can prepare pretty well for events or like a particular opponent and whatnot. I especially noticed this actually when we were doing our Caster Civil War stuff or War Chest Team League and everything when he was on my team. So I'm very curious to see what he actually brings out, as we already do see like clearly a bit of preparation here, going for a double gas kind of a setup and going for a proxy pylon.
Yeah, gonna get a little bit aggressive early. I don't mind that on a map like Waterfall either, right? Because it's like, well, this is a good map for Terrans, so get ahead early, right? You know, cut them off at, early on. Don't let them get where they want to be. But ByuN is playing factory before expanding. In this case, obviously a proxy is not exactly ideal for MaNa because ByuN should have plenty to deflect any sort of damage early on and then be fairly safe and fairly comfortable going into the next stages of the game.
Reaper pops on in. He's going to scout around. Doesn't actually check to... I'm always curious what you think about this, Wardy. When a Terran player pops in with a Reaper, but doesn't actually end up scouting very far in, I'm always wondering, like, do you not feel like you need to count all the pylons? Are you not worried about like there being a pylon further back in the corner or something?
I think it's more like, obviously it's situation dependent, but in this case, I mean, 2 Reapers is very powerful. You'd rather just keep the 2 alive. And I think a lot of the time as well, it's like, it's so early. Sometimes like 90% of the time you don't see anything. It's like the 10% of the time, so you're kind of playing for like the 90%. I suppose, you're kind of hedging your bets on what the best kind of play is. And yeah, sometimes you feel like, I mean, moments like this, right? Maybe you don't get this Adept if there's only 1 Reaper here. In this case, you absolutely get it quite comfortably. Yeah, you lose the Hellion. Now you still got 2 Reapers to counterattack, and this is way more of a threat. It's going to pull this Adept back. And yeah, I mean, you might not scout what's coming your way, but all of a sudden you're dealing damage that you can afford to take damage from what you didn't scout as well, right? As, target fire would be nice, and we do get one of those probes. So yeah, I like this a lot from ByuN, and he's actually going to get 2 probes. He's going to get at least 3, but there's another one that's low HP, so he should be able to find 4. Get it? Target fire, 4. Nice. Going to try for 5. Just doesn't get it.
Yeah. That was beautifully done by ByuN overall, though. Just getting those 4 workers killed is very, very nice. And the question is he going to be prepared for the counterattack? And the answer is very clearly no, with the bunker still being built. But the Cyclone is here. Adept is actually going to shade very far forward. It provides high ground vision for a little bit, but unfortunately is not able to allow MaNa to finish off that Cyclone. So now the Stalkers have to try and fight for the low grounds. They're going to try and just control this area. And with 2 more Adepts joining, it does seem like he's going to be able to try and break through a little bit further onto that high ground, pick off some additional units.
Yeah, I like the Cyclone, though, getting rid of one of these Adepts. And we do have the tank out now. This really should kind of be the end of this aggression, no? I mean, the Storms could maybe get on top of the tank, but I feel like that's going to be quite expensive. So yeah, I mean, at the very least, you're going to stop this going any further. It might take a little while to reclaim the natural, but I don't mind this too much for ByuN, as he should be able to slowly push his way out here. And of course, MaNa's tech is very delayed. This is all units, no technology behind it at the moment.
Yeah, this is, in a weird way, kind of like a very all-in position in some kind of funky ways. He kind of has to do a lot of damage here just because, like you said, doesn't have a lot of tech. Now, I think he's already doing a fair amount of damage just in denying this natural for such a long time. But not only that, but I think up until like literally this moment, the command center was just left in the air. So that means that there were no additional workers being made. So in a lot of ways, it was ByuN being on one base. Adepts are going to potentially shade onto that siege tank. Wow, that's a bold move. He's going to shade on the tank, try and pick that off. The stalkers go after the tank on the low ground, but it's being repaired back up. And while he does get the siege tank on the high ground, losing every single unit, that's not worth it.
Like, geez, I mean, come on, that couldn't have gone worse. You get one tank and you just lose everything. Obviously, if you get a tank on the low ground too, then you're like, cool, you got stimmable marines with no healing and stuff. It's like, I only have to hold one attack, but man, he lost everything to kill the tank off there, and that just was not ideal at all. There's one of those moments as well where you're like, man, I really think this is a good idea, right? I'm going to get the tank high ground, I kill it low ground, I can clean up the marines after, game's mine. And you just don't quite get the initial kill that you're looking for. And now we're chasing down stalkers as well. And of course, they don't have blink or anything. So ByuN is on the hunt and doing mega damage.
That was painful, Wardy.
Yeah, that sucked.
As I feel like I've been removed from my position as a commentator, and I'm just like a Protoss player watching this unfold. And
You're just a Protoss player watching this.
I'm just a Protoss player watching this
You're
unfold.
Just really, yeah.
It's not a balance thing. It's literally just, I feel the pain of a Protoss player in this situation. Like, it's hard not to just empathize with, like, oh man, that's rough, buddy.
At least there's no medevacs for a little while still, so these units are kind of low HP from ByuN constantly. Like, that's my one saving grace, as you lose every single stalker.
Yeah, Wardy, I was about to interrupt you, because if he had lost that stalker maybe like 5 seconds earlier, it would have been 0 army supply from MaNa.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one, man. I think this game was definitely just put all into like a much more all-in basket there for MaNa, just to get damage done, because he didn't have any of that transitionary tech really getting set up behind it. He went for the proxy gateway. He wanted to get a lot more done there. So I get kind of to some degree why he did decide to commit there, but it clearly, obviously, as we saw, it did not end up working out. So MaNa's got to deal with the consequences of that, and, well, those consequences may just be going down 0-1 in the first game.
Yeah, I mean, he still doesn't have blink, man. I know it's finishing up soon, but like, it's just so late. When you've got all the Terran upgrades finishing up, you know, and tank support, yeah, I mean, blink's still not finished right now, so these stalkers, all they can do is kite backwards. We're losing the numbers of stalkers very quickly here, and obviously ByuN killing stalkers off is just so difficult to replace from MaNa's point of view as well. They're so expensive. It's going to slow down any of your other tech having to replace stalkers, but what else can you really, you know, build? Because you've got blink now. Like, you need to have some amount of stalkers. And even there's blink forward. Oh my goodness. Now we're going to start dropping on top, and ByuN just going to come in with the reinforcements. He might have lost the tank, but he's going to keep this going. Stalker warping in, dies before it can blink away. And I mean, yeah, this is just crazy. Love the little attempt of a hidden base we're being shown on the picture-in-picture that MaNa has on the top left-hand side, because that's cute. That's something that could maybe bring him back in the game. But he needs ByuN to stop attacking him first. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh no. Okay. You know, it's not even an impactful win there. Like, the fact that he doesn't lose all of his workers over there, because I think losing most of your gateway production, losing all of your stalkers over here, like, that's already really, really bad for MaNa. He's basically being doubled in supply again. And we see back at home, there is in fact a third command center about to finish up for ByuN. I like that MaNa stuck a base and everything, but it's really at this point right now, Wardy, I'm thinking about moral victories. I'm thinking about things that will give MaNa a good feeling going into game number 2, where he's going to at least walk away from this game not thinking like, man, let's just forget that happened.
I was actually thinking the other way around. I think MaNa should leave ASAP, because I feel like ByuN feels better and better as this game goes on. He's just playing his own game, quick, dropping everywhere. He had a bit of fancy micro where he target fired 2 different stalkers while he was, you know, surrounded by probes. Like, just these little things, I really, as he scouts the base, it just feels like you're letting ByuN. I know you're meant to try and stay in the game and stay alive, but I think this one was very far gone, and you're kind of letting ByuN just kind of get into a real comfort zone, and ByuN absolutely loves that when it gets to kind of like, you know, that stage of a game. So
yeah,
I was kind of, it's just funny that you brought it up, like, because I was kind of feeling like it in the opposite direction, you know.
I'm actually totally with you on that. I think one of my favorite examples of exactly that always stuck with me was Peely was talking, who's like one of the North American Protoss players and everything, would talk about facing off versus M Canning, because ByuN, I think in a lot of ways, is a very momentum-based player. Like, if he gets his good groove going, it carries on into the rest of the games in the series and stuff. And M Canning, a very similar kind of player in the North American region. And Peely would say, if M Canning was about to get off a massive disruptor hit, what he would do is he would actually pause and leave the game immediately before the disruptor hit went off, because he knows even just the feeling of that disruptor going off is like a really positive feeling, and that those positive vibes will carry over to the next game. MCanny will actually play better after that disruptor goes off. I'm like, you know what? That is like one of the most clear and easy examples for me to understand of that.
I can completely believe it as well, man. It's like it's just that feel good moment. You're like, man, that rocked. That was such a cool game, right? I played so well. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
those little things, they really do add up. Like people really do love those moments, and yeah, like I said, I feel like that's definitely a factor as we get into game number 2. We are going to be starting off in the top right-hand corner. Nope, we're going to start in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, observers. I don't know what I did to you, but I'm sorry. In the bottom left side, high yellow Terran player from the Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN.
I mean, we've been so nice to the observers today, Wardy. We haven't just sat back, chatted, waited a little bit. We're doing any of those player intros. Made the observers just dance around for a little bit longer, zooming that camera around, putting in the work. TeamLiquid's MaNa.
If I was an observer, I would put a clause in my contract for dumb caster intros like this. Like, every time I have to deal with this dumb intro where they lead me on for like 10 minutes more than necessary, I get a raise.
If we go to a game 3, I'm gonna have so much fun with that player intro. Mapu and Indy are going to hate me if we go to a game 3.
Just note that this is on Fiat Dragon, not me, guys.
Like, oh no, I'm gonna drag you into it. I'm gonna drag you down with me, man. We're both gonna make their lives miserable. No, big shout out to Mapu and Indy though. They've been observing TSL. They've been doing a great job. They've been catching all the action, allowing the commentators to not talk about the game so that everyone else can still enjoy the game. And the picture-in-picture stuff has been actually really great to see. It's been awesome. Actually, there's a lot of people who've been putting in some great work for TSL behind the scenes. Like, for those who don't somehow notice, we have different color schemes. There's like a slightly different overlay. There's gummy bears and stuff everywhere, which I think my favorite part about that, a lot of people don't know, is that they go into completely random positions. So every time you pull up their units lost page, you pull it up again, I think, those little like donuts and gummy bears will be in a different position. Yeah, look at that.
What you mean to say is this tournament didn't just make itself? Whoa.
Yeah, wow, there's a bunch of people like Ollie and Oli Moly and our wonderful producers, and just like there's a ton of people behind the scenes working on this event, and they've been putting a lot of love into it.
I thought you were about to say Ollie Moly, Ole
Ollie
Mole.
Moly. Oh my god. Okay, there's an ongoing. Do you know about the ongoing Oli Moly meme, where everyone, like, people will meet her, and she's wonderful. She's done so much of the scene. But people will meet her and be like, "Oh, are you Olimo, the one that runs Oli Moly?"
Yeah.
My new favorite thing now is I'm gonna introduce her as Ollie Moly. I'm gonna be fired.
Oh well. At least I got cast with you before you went down.
Yeah, I antagonized you, I antagonized the observers, then I antagonized Holy Moly. Like,
you're really setting fire to the ship, mate.
The only person I haven't antagonized is the producer, who in fact has the power to mute me. So
smart, very smart.
Let's talk about this game though, because we do have first medevac coming on out. It's been sort of a normal opening so far, but we're going into this double Reaper Hellion opening. This game, MaNa is a lot better prepared to deal with the harassment here. Ends up losing one worker, but the Reapers are not quite able to immediately do the damage that they otherwise were able to do in the first game. And the Gateway unit should get here in time with the shield battery there to help defend. I don't think MaNa should be losing a whole lot here.
No, I don't think this is going to be an issue. I love the abilities going for in general, though, by the way. This Robo Bay, going to be seeing the Prism coming online. This is sort of StarCraft I can get behind, Like, this is kind of fun. It's kind of different. Some Colossus drop is what we're expecting to see. And, yeah, a lot of potential. Dangerous, like high risk, high reward, but I like it. A lot of potential. The fact ByuN's open with the Raven, though, I feel like that's a little unfortunate for MaNa. But we'll see how he deals with it, as he's well positioned for this first Widow Mine drop. ByuN will redirect to the natural, sees the Prism. That's such a huge immediate scout. And the Robo Bay. I mean, this is the power of the mine drop. Being able to scout just as well as this so quickly goes a long way.
Oh yeah, that is going to be a massive help. And it's one of the best parts about doing these kind of drops, right? Is that you get into your opponent's main base in the natural, you scout everything out, picks off a stalker, and keeps the other Widow Mine off of cooldown. Although I think that second Widow Mine is a little bit more softened up, so it might have a harder time getting any kind of damage done over here. But that medevac, I cannot believe it. He's still keeping that medevac alive. Is he going to get out of here again?
No,
No.
not. Oh,
that was so close.
Yeah, I think MaNa had it judged well, actually. It looked very close, but I think MaNa had it figured out in his head. He knew he was going to be kind of alright there, so good job, MaNa, as we do make our way. With the Prism speed halfway done, we're going to have the Raven coming in, though, and just really ByuN trying to deal as much damage as possible, as early as possible, right? Like, he just wants to deal damage and just never stop, I assume.
And, I mean, he's doing a great job with the damage. I do sort of wonder if that Raven energy is going to have been useful. Oh, okay. Nice pick off on the medevac with the Widow Mine. I was going to say, I feel like sometimes the Raven energy is actually very helpful for helping to deal with the Colossus drop in the Prism. Because if you can get the Interference Matrix off on the Prism right as the Colossus has been unloaded, if you can time it out really well, you can actually kill the Colossus. You pretty much guarantee the kill on the Colossus.
Yeah, I think it's just very difficult to hit that time, and it's obviously one thing you'd be looking for here is the Colossus has been abandoned. The Prism has just left it. No. I understand that the Viking was there. I mean, I guess you can't save with the Prism because it's taken too many shots. Oh, that's really bad.
I'm convinced, like, there's no way that MaNa would intentionally do that. I'm convinced that that must have been MaNa feeling like he clicked on the Prism to pick it up, and then it like
was just too far gone.
So there's a funny thing that happens where if a Prism tries to pick up a unit, but the unit's out of range, then what the Prism will do is it'll move into range, wait until it stops completely, then pick up the unit. And so that can create some really weird, like, unnatural feeling micro situations where you think that you're like gonna use the Prism range and pick up a unit, and you just don't. It just doesn't happen, and you're kind of you sit there frustrated. So MaNa, I feel like maybe something like that happened, and that's going to be a costly mistake, though.
Yeah, I think that it's also just possible he just couldn't justify going back. He already took too many shots on the Prism, right, with the Viking, and knew that it just wasn't going to end well for him. So he's just like, right, cut my losses, try and get out alive with the Prism at least, and then I can go pick up the Disruptors, which obviously isn't ideal, but at least then you're not doubling down on the mistake of losing the Colossus and the Prism. He's going to try and use these Disruptors to clean out this position either way, whether it was the micro error, whether it was just he truly didn't believe he could save it. Doesn't matter now because this Terran army has got position, and it's going to be very, very difficult for MaNa to clean this out.
Yep. Even actually using a lot of the shield battery energy to keep that pylon alive. I mean, that is the only pylon powering the shield battery, so I guess I kind of understand where he's coming from with that. Feedback actually on the Raven is also nice. Going to prevent any additional auto turrets or interference matrices that could come out on the Disruptor. Not quite in range of the Siege Tank, so with the Disruptor shots, which I think is what he was really looking for there, but it's going to slow down the cleanup, and that actually gives ByuN time to get reinforcements across the map. He's going to be able to reinforce this position.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when you can't clean out this out the first time around, it only gets worse and worse, right? The buy upgrades are kicking in now as well, so that's not going to be fun to deal with, and yeah, you're going to start stimming over here. This at least is going to be pretty okay, manageable for the moment, but then ByuN's going to drop up into the main base, and there's not really much mobility in play here for MaNa. It's not like he opened with Blink or anything, so yeah, these drops are going to be very frustrating, and ByuN just knows that that's one thing he can just pretty much abuse throughout this, so no surprises to see him kind of just latching onto that pretty much straight away.
Yeah, I guess the shield battery gets taken out. These Zealots should be able to force a lift up eventually, right? I mean, I like that the Stalkers focus down one of the medevacs, so at least kills that, but 15 workers is already devastating amounts of damage at this point, Wardy. Like, everything else could just get cleaned up, and ByuN's still going to be happy.
Yeah, ByuN is 100% very content with what has already been going on here. This auto just trying to find a little bit more as well, really is just stretching out for as much as possible at this stage, and obviously that's exactly what you should be doing. ByuN's just playing a great game. I mean, obviously just shutting down the Colossus like that early is always going to leave you in a bad spot, and yep, can't even take a gas over here as the Prism will try and counterattack, and I like that idea more than most ideas MaNa's had, because let's face it, a counterattack at least can punish what ByuN is doing, which is just rallying everything across the map.
Yeah, Zealot's gonna fail to clean up that little siege tank setup, and I like this especially. The 4 Zealots into the third base, but then warping in some more in the main, but there are already units available and ready to help defend there. 7 workers killed is actually a nice start here for MaNa. He's also going to be able to clean up the drop in the main base. I mean, this is all good moves here, but he has to complement it by actually taking on the main army, and that is the big concern now.
Yeah, I mean, this force from ByuN, I just do not see how it dies, right? Like, it just feels so difficult to imagine MaNa truly getting a cleanup on this, and obviously that is just the problem, as the Bioforce in the main base is just getting so much done. GG, well played, and ByuN is going to keep himself alive.